Good evening. You're watching India Votes. I'm Sana Khan. This is the show where we endeavour to get you all the news from the battleground states as India gears up to elect the 16th Lok Sabha. Let's take a look at what's making headlines. Congress releases its manifesto for Lok Sabha polls, promises jobs, houses and healthcare, claims 8% growth rate in 3 years. Opposition parties criticize the Congress manifesto. BJP claims lack of credibility. Others say it's full of old promises. Day of hectic political campaigning across the country. Narendra Modi, Lalu Prasad and Nitish Kumar address rallies. And a day after his expulsion from the party, former DMK leader M.K. Aragiri says he will not contest in Lok Sabha elections. Well, the Congress has come out with its manifesto for Lok Sabha polls today. The party promised a slew of pro-poor measures, including homes and affordable health care for all, with its top leaders taking digs at the BJP and its prime ministerial candidate Narendra Modi. Here's what Congress has to offer if it comes to power for a third consecutive term.
The Congress on Wednesday promised right to health and housing in its manifesto for the 2014 Lok Sabha election. Party chief Sonia Gandhi said the manifesto has been prepared after Party Vice President Rahul Gandhi held consultations with people from different parts of the country. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said the manifesto attempts to cover the needs of all sections of society, from farmers, the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, women and children.
Development has many models. One hears these days about Gujarat model. One hears about other models, and the Congress model is the model which recognizes that there is a need for an expanding economy to provide lasting solutions to the problems of poverty.
हमने सभी देशवासियों के लिए स्वास्थ्य के अधिकार का वादा किया है, जिससे सबकी सेहत की देखभाल एक सच्चाई बनकर सामने आए। कांग्रेस पार्टी सभी भूमिहीन और गरीब परिवारों को आवास के अधिकार का भी दावा कर रही है।
Here are some of the key promises made in the manifesto. The party has kept its focus on welfare measures for the economically weaker section. Promises of jobs, houses and healthcare occupy a large part of the manifesto. The party has also promised inclusive growth. With the growth rate struggling to breach 5% mark, the party promises an optimistic 8% growth. Party Vice President Rahul Gandhi highlighted that the manifesto reflects the views and opinions of common people. Rahul, along with Congress President Sonia Gandhi and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, cautioned that Modi's ideology was against the idea of India, and the Congress will fight in a determined manner to ensure that this ideology is defeated.
I'd like to say a little bit about what the Congress party stands for that is different than our opponents. We believe that for this country to grow, there needs to be a firm partnership between business, between the economic sectors of this country, and between the poor.
But BJP rejected Rahul Gandhi's views. The Saffron Party also criticized Congress manifesto of being devoid of credibility. Other parties too chose to criticize the manifesto.
It is not a manifesto, but it is a document of deceit. It is rank insult to the people of India.
Repeat promises which you have broken is a cruel joke on the people. They are talking about health. In the last 5 to 10 years under their watch, health services have become so expensive.
कांग्रेस तो बार-बार कहेगी कि हमने सारे वायदे पूरे कर दिए। हकीकत क्या है? देश के अंदर जो माहौल बना हुआ है उस माहौल से बिल्कुल स्पष्ट है कि कांग्रेस पर से लोगों का यकीन खत्म हो गया है। अब आप कुछ भी वायदे करते रहिए, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला।
चुनाव घोषणा पत्र में कांग्रेस पार्टी ने वायदे किए हैं, उनको पूरा करने के लिए हमारे देश की जर्जर अर्थव्यवस्था अलाउ नहीं करती। तो रुपए की जो गिरती कीमत है, मुद्रास्फीति है, बदहाल आर्थिक स्थिति है, उसके रहते हुए ये वादे पूरे नहीं किए जा सकते। ये चुनाव के खोखले वादे।
The Congress manifesto was finalized by a committee headed by A.K. Antony. The other members of the committee are P. Chidambaram, Sushil Kumar Shinde, Anand Sharma, Salman Khurshid, Sandeep Dikshit, Ajit Jogi, Renuka Chaudhary, P.L. Punia, Mohan Gopal, Jairam Ramesh and Digvijay Singh. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, let me go across live to my colleague Vineet Dikshit. He is joining me from New Delhi. Vineet, though there are a lot of promises made by the Congress in its manifesto, it's worth highlighting, some of the points that are really crucial and are being talked about even by the opposition parties, and also the kind of impact that we've seen ever since these three big leaders released the manifesto earlier in the day.
Well, Sana, the impact was quick and fast, going by what happened at the Sensex. The only silver lining of today's, which followed the release of the Congress manifesto, the Sensex jumped around 22.095 points, and Nifty was back a little bit ahead, 6600. It was a very heartening day's closure, coming in close heels to what the Congress manifesto has promised for the next 5 years if they come to power, if there is a UPA 3. Three very important, significant points where we should look into the Congress manifesto. They have promised, if they come to power, the first 100 days would be devoted to a number of things, and the legislations which the Congress party hopes to include in their executive decisions if they come to power would also include setting up of and appointing a special envoy to bring back black money, National Food Security Act, which we know it was parked. It will be speeded up in its implementation. National Investment Facilitation Authority has been promised to speed up the infrastructure reforms under the Prime Minister's chairmanship. That has been promised in this manifesto.
Right.
Sana?
Right, Vineet. Also, the Congress claims that, after 30-odd public consultations, it has picked up fine points discussed with the public and put together this manifesto. But as the opposition party is alleging that, there's nothing new in this manifesto. In fact, what the Congress has been promising for the last 10 years, there are some more promises, and it increasingly looks that it's very difficult to fulfill these promises, considering India is lagging behind in some of the past promises that have been made by the government.
Well, you rightly had said that Mr. Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, did held 30 different meetings, and he asked people to directly respond to his request, suggest what measures they should take in their manifesto, what people would like to see Congress in the next 5 years. 130,000 people, approximately 130,000 people did responded, and they had emailed him their suggestions. It was incorporated, as Mr. Gandhi said, and a number of new things. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi said for opposition, the manifesto is a tool to bring, to ring up voters, to garner votes. For them, it is a holy book for the next 5 years.
All right,
Sana.
Vineet Dikshit, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see in the coming few days other political parties as well coming out with their own list of promises. Thanks so much with those details. Now, getting you more updates as part of its mega poll campaign, BJP's Prime Ministerial candidate Narendra Modi addressed back-to-back rallies in Jammu and later in Uttar Pradesh today. He's also scheduled to address a rally in Silampur area of Delhi later this evening. BJP's one-time ally Nitish Kumar also held rallies in 4 districts of Bihar.
A day after Aam Aadmi Party convener Arvind Kejriwal announced his candidature from Varanasi against Narendra Modi, the BJP's PM nominee hit out right back at him. At a rally in Jammu, Modi accused Kejriwal of spawning a party that's working to further the interests of Pakistan.
उनकी पार्टी की वेबसाइट पे, ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट पे उन्होंने जो नक्शा रखा है, उसमें कश्मीर उन्होंने पाकिस्तान को दे दिया है. एक सिपाही सालार है उनके बड़े साथी, वो चिक चिक करके कह रहे हैं जनमत संग्रह होना चाहिए.
At another rally in Hiranagar in Jammu, Modi promised to carry forward the policies of BJP stalwart Atal Bihari Vajpayee to change the fate of Kashmir.
वाजपेयी जी ने इन तीनों पिलर पर कश्मीर के एकता, कश्मीर का विकास, कश्मीर का भाग्य बदलने का जो एक मजबूत नींव रखी है, हम सबको मिलकर के उसको आगे ले जाना है.
Later in the day, Modi also addressed a rally in Bulandshahr district of Uttar Pradesh, the state which sends the maximum number of MPs to Lok Sabha. Starting today, Modi will address 185 rallies across the country till the election process is over. Christened the Bharat Vijay rallies by the party, they will be held in 295 constituencies. If Modi was well and truly on the campaign trail, his better known Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar did not lag far behind. He too hit the campaign trail in 4 districts of the state. RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad also addressed a gathering in Buxar district of Bihar.
ये चुनाव नहीं है, दंगल में, इस दंगल में भारत टूटेगा या भारत रहेगा. भाई भाई में नफरत फैलाने वाला पार्टी वही नरेंद्र मोदी. गुजरात में जो पाप किया, उस पाप को धोने के लिए बनारस में.
Barred from contesting elections after his conviction in the Fodder scam, Lalu is campaigning for his party's candidates. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And NCP Chief Sharad Pawar has replied to the Election Commission's notice on his controversial remark at a rally on Sunday. Pawar was given time till Thursday by the poll panel. But the NCP chief wrote to the Election Commission a day before the deadline. He said he deeply regretted the confusion and misunderstanding caused by his remark. He requested the Election Commission to close the matter. On Sunday, Pawar asked NCP activists to take advantage of multi-phase voting in Maharashtra and vote twice. BJP moved the Election Commission, raising objection and alleging violation of the Model Code. Pawar later claimed it was a remark made in a lighter vein. And in politics, down south, the day after his expulsion from the party, former DMK leader M.K. Aragiri said he will not contest these elections. Speaking to reporters today, he claimed that DMK will not win more than 2 seats. His father and party chief Karunanidhi expelled Aragiri as a follow-up action after suspending him for indiscipline. He was also excluded from the party's list of candidates a few weeks ago, but Aragiri defended himself by saying that he did not break any discipline of the party. He vowed to go to court against his party's decision to expel him.
என் மீது நடவடிக்கை எடுத்தவர்கள் மீது யாருக்கு தூண்டுதலோ அவர்கள் மீது நிச்சயமாக 2 மாதத்தில் நடவடிக்கை நான் எடுக்க மாட்டேன், எடுக்க வேண்டியவர்கள் எடுப்பார்கள்.
And over in Maharashtra, the Congress defended severe criticism from the opposition parties over nomination of former Maharashtra Chief Minister Ashok Chavan from Nanded. Chavan is accused in the Adarsh housing scam case. He was indicted by an inquiry panel and investigated the Adarsh scam in Mumbai in December last year. Opposition questioned Congress's move of choosing a leader who was accused of corruption. But Sonia Gandhi defended the party's decision, saying there's no legal bar to Chavan's candidacy.
The decision of giving Ashok Chavan a ticket has been taken by the CEC. And as far as we know, Mr. Ashok Chavan is not barred from contesting election by any law or by the Election Commission.
काँग्रेस पक्षाच्या अध्यक्षा सोनिया गांधी यांचे आभार मानतो आणि राहुल गांधी यांचे आभार मानतो की त्यांनी नांदेड लोकसभा मतदारसंघातून मला उमेदवारी काँग्रेस पक्षाने दिली.
Congress, there's a saying, leopard can't change the stripes. So I have no expectation. The only thing is the people of this country have a choice, and they have a choice to elect BJP so that the country can be on the right track.
आदर्श घोटाला जिसमें सबसे बड़ा उनके मुख्यमंत्री जिनको उन्होंने हटाया था, जिसमें उनका नाम भी दोबारा इंक्वायरी में आया, अशोक चौहान जी को अगर टिकट मिलती है तो मुझे लगता है ये दिखावे की लड़ाई है आपकी भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ. ऐसे कानून लाना एक दिखावा है, उससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है.
And the BJP has nominated Bollywood actor Vinod Khanna to contest from Gurdaspur Lok Sabha seat in Punjab. Vinod Khanna is among 9 candidates announced by the BJP in a fresh list last night. He will take on Punjab Congress chief Pratap Singh Bajwa. He had defeated Vinod Khanna in the last election in 2009 by a narrow margin. BJP has also fielded Ram Swarup Sharma for a Mandi parliamentary seat in Himachal Pradesh, where he'll take on Congress's Pratibha Singh, the sitting MP and wife of Chief Minister वीरभद्र सिंह.
मैंने एक बार फिर जिम्मेदारी दी है पार्टी ने. सारे बुजुर्गों का दिल्लियों आशीर्वाद लेके आया मैं पंजाब पार्टी का आशीर्वाद लेके आया मैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी बादल साहब का आशीर्वाद लेके आया.
And Kerala's capital, Thiruvananthapuram, is dotted with posters and pictures of sitting MP Shashi Tharoor. Seeking a second term, the congressman is touring the state in a hectic schedule ahead of April 10th polls. My colleague Kriti Mishra tracked his election campaign. Take a look.
We are at Thiruvananthapuram to track the election campaign of sitting MP and Union Minister and also Congress's candidate for the upcoming polls, Dr. Shashi Tharoor. Dr. Tharoor, what's the agenda for the day ahead?
Well, today is what we call Pariyadnam, where it'll basically be jeep top campaigning. We are going to one of the rural parts of our constituency. It's called Parashala, near the Tamil Nadu border. And I'm first heading off in my own car. The campaign vehicle is waiting there, and accompanied by the MLA and sometimes by other local leaders, I'll go through the constituency till 10 o'clock at night, meeting different groups of people, being received by them, saying a few words. Length of the speech will depend on the size of the audience and the time available, because we always run late. And then at the end of the day, come back. That's the scenario.
Minister of State for Human Resource Development, an author, a columnist and former official at the United Nations, Shashi Tharoor has donned many hats. On his electoral debut in Thiruvananthapuram in 2009, he defeated his CPI rival P. Ramachandran Nair by nearly 1 lakh votes. This time, he will be defending his seat. He is on a campaign trail in Kerala. Tharoor started by visiting the Ambari area of Thiruvananthapuram, waving and greeting the people throughout his roadshow. Tharoor highlighted numerous achievements of his government. Women in Kerala, the state with the highest gender development index, play a vital role in determining the political fate of the candidates. And Tharoor does not forget to mention his contribution for the betterment of women.
Women walking after dark in Kerala have had terrible experiences, and so brightening up the place with bright, powerful lights is very important. So I've had 67 high mast lights introduced throughout the constituency, and others are now doing the same, imitating me.
Parasala is one of the prominent towns in Thiruvananthapuram district of Kerala. Situated at about 30 kilometers from the capital, the place was not well connected with railways. But now it has agreed in principle to schedule stops for 3 trains at the station. Tharoor takes the credit for the development and says the new facilities are only the beginning of various development projects in the town. However, the death of his wife Sunanda Pushkar is continuing to haunt Shashi Tharoor even on the poll landscape. Opposition LDF has made it one of the main campaign tools against him. Tharoor, however, dismisses it as an effort to gain political mileage by the opposition.
I think it ill behooves people who didn't have the decency to mourn with me to try and use this for their political benefit.
He also admits that 10 years of rule of UPA may bring an element of anti-incumbency, but UPA's achievements are far more stupendous.
I'm actually trying to use the 10-year record of the UPA as a plus point, because we've actually done a great deal to change the face of this nation. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, the Food Security Act, right to information, right to education, all of that means something to the majority of people, and their lives are therefore better than they were 10 years ago. So I'm trying to convert anti-incumbency into something more positive.
Shashi Tharoor will face former Union Minister and BJP leader O. Rajagopal, CPIM's Bennett and Ajit Joy, a former IPS officer who is contesting as an Aam Aadmi Party candidate. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV, Kerala.
Time for a very short break on India Votes. I'll be back with more election buzz. You're watching India Votes. The Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Act, better known as Manrega, was hailed by the UPA government as the largest and most ambitious social security and public works program in the world. But since its enactment in 2005, the program has been riddled with implementation and corruption issues. Even alongside the huge positives it offers, it has raised a slew of question marks. Here's a report on that.
The act Act provides at least 100 days of guaranteed wage employment in a financial year to every household whose adult members volunteer to do unskilled manual work. The government claims that as per the 2011 census, about 60% of the villagers have benefited from the scheme at some point or the other. The statute is hailed as the government's most revolutionary step.
मनरेगा जैसी योजना दुनिया में आज कहीं नहीं है। इसने रोजगार की गारंटी को एक तरह से आम ग्रामीण गरीब का हक बना दिया है।
मानव इतिहास का सबसे बड़ा रोजगार कार्यक्रम है और इसमें जो हमारे सबसे गरीब लोग हैं उनको जो उनकी कमाई में बढ़ोतरी हुई है, जिस तरह से वेजेस में इंक्रीज हुआ है, वो शायद हमारे देश के इतिहास में कभी पहले नहीं हुआ था।
But the positives haven't been felt by all. Things don't take off the way they should have in some states. Reports of corruption, misuse and mismanagement have dogged the program. Gaps have been pointed out between planning and implementation. Problems have also arisen around wage disbursal and unemployment allowance.
तो इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं है, ये स्कीम का अच्छा इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होना चाहिए, सरकार कोई भी हो, लेकिन इसमें सुधार करने की आवश्यकता है, उसमें ज़्यादा ट्रांसपेरेंसी लाने की आवश्यकता है, उसमें डाइवर्शन लीकेज जो लोग अभी कहते हैं पब्लिक उसका ऑडिट होना चाहिए।
But in the overall outlook, the larger positives have prevailed. Besides support to the poor and villagers, the scheme has helped stem an exodus from villages and paved the way for their development. Agriculture and land fertility as a whole has benefited. As for the large shortcomings, what this landmark program needs ahead is a learning from experience and a harnessing towards better things. Arvind Kumar Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And for more on the positives and shortcomings of Manrega, watch our special program Manrega Changing Lives on Agenda 2014. That's tonight at 10:30. Now, more than half of the tea produced in India comes from Assam. But the backbone of this production, the condition of labourers at these tea gardens, is desperate at best. Though they make up a substantial vote bank, political promises down the years have brought little improvement to their lives. Have a look.
They start work at the crack of dawn and slog through manual labor of more than 10 hours a day. Many of them are women who suffer health problems. In return, even the basic minimum wage, 200 rupees a day, is denied them.
रेशन मिलता नहीं है और इधर कुछ तबलीग तो कुछ नहीं, लेकिन रेशन मिलता नहीं है। पैसा कम मिलता है? पैसा तो कम मिलता है, लेकिन इस साल तो बढ़ता है थोड़ा।
सरकार से हम ये चाहते हैं कि हमारा तनख्वाह बढ़ा दो, हमारा राशन बढ़ा दो, क्वार्टर अच्छा हो, बच्चे का स्कूल हो।
Officially, these tea gardens in Assam come under industry, but rules are flouted and benefits the workers have a right to just don't reach them. Close to 60,000 labourers work in some 70,000 tea gardens around the state. They make up 20% of Assam's total population. The 1951 Plantation Act provides for education, health insurance, fixed wages and lodging to the labourers, but realities are quite different. Even their unions and groups bow to the political influence.
Globalization, liberalization, privatization आ गया है, तो अभी इंजन चलाना बहुत मुश्किल हो गया। जो मालिक है, मालिक लोग सरकार के साथ मिलके और जो कानून बनाता है, ये लोग के साथ मिलके लेबर को जो फैसिलिटी देना है वो 100% हो, 80% हो देने नहीं सकता है।
The owners reject these charges, insisting that only some labourers are left out.
There is a qualified and there is a non-qualified or non-eligible section of residing within the garden. As far as the eligible section is concerned, the worker and his family, his requirements are by and large met. There could be variations from garden to garden or company to company, but by and large his requirements are met. It is largely this non-eligible section. We do not know what to do with it.
With the Congress government in the state claiming continuous efforts are made for welfare of labourers.
The Congress, the tea garden labourers, as you are saying, they're an integral part of the greater Assamese society. They're part of us. And the tea industry has been enriched by their contribution for the last more 150 years or more.
and they're part of us, and the Congress is always with them, and they are always with the Congress. And we are always very sort of thing, about their demands and everything, and trying to solve it and taking up with the tea companies so that they get all the facilities.
Assam Tea is a brand worldwide. The plight of these workers, however, tells another story, another issue that calls for corrective action.
Tea garden labour community of Assam represents the 20% of the total population of the state. Therefore, it's a huge vote bank for every political party. Unfortunately, the working class in the tea plantation is perhaps one of the most exploited in the organized sector of the economy. With camera person Siddharth, this is Pranav Goswami, Rajya Sabha TV, Guwahati.
That's a wrap on this edition of India Votes. We're heading into a short break. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Goodbye.